Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? Who do we have here today? Amazing humans. Let's open up that chat box. Type in that chat box. Send a greeting to everyone else. Hannah's here. Good to see you. Dean, Erwin, you all got this. All right. Phil, good to see you here, buddy. Ross Krings, good to see you here, my friend. Charmin, good to see you here. We got Chris. All right. So we're going to be talking about frame shifting today, because with Mindset Academy, we now do a fundamentals call every month. This month, we're talking frame shifting. Next month, we're going to talk belief change process. We're going to be grinding in the fundamentals over and over again. So how many of you did the 7-day challenge last week? Type in the chat for me. Good to see you, Doug. Ross, did you do the 7-day challenge? Awesome. Awesome, Cassie. Fantastic. So let's dive in here. Also note, at the end of this call, I'm going to be opening it up. If anybody wants some coaching from me, there's an opportunity to get coached by me at the end of this call. All right. So let's lean into our morning mindset reset. So get a sense of a future version of you that's a little more focused than you are right now. And get a sense of a future version of you that's a little more present than you are right now. And get a sense of a version of you that's a little less distracted than you are right now. Now repeat after me. I take full ownership of my life and everything in it. I take full ownership of my past, present, and future. I take full ownership of my thoughts and everything in them. I take full ownership of my emotions and everything in them. I take full ownership of any emotional reactions I'm having. And I allow them to process completely now. Breathe. How are you feeling? Type in the chat. How are you feeling today? Good. Fantastic. Now, can you get us, let's continue to repeat after me. I've got everything under control. This year is going to turn out great for me. Even if there is some chaos in the world in the next 30 days, I will not be affected by it because I am living at a frequency where I'm not affected by it. I choose to live in alignment with my highest and greatest good. I lean into my process of growth. I lean into the obstacles in front of me. I lean into the challenges that I'm having. And I choose to connect with myself at the deepest level and make my impact on this world. I choose to believe this 100%. Past, present, future. All versions of me. Awesome. How'd that feel? Can you feel, let's just put some attention on this container, this group right here. Can you feel the energy of this collective group? Type yes if you can in the chat. And then if you can, See if you can raise that frequency. Throw some positive energy, positive thoughts, a wish to that collective. And just see if you can like crank the frequency to a higher level. And just notice if you're feeling the results of other people doing that. And let's sit with this power, with this collective. Let's set an intention as a group, everybody right now. Collective intentions are extremely powerful. We'll set a collective intention so things in the world will go amazing over the next 6 months. And your life will be so amazing that you cannot believe it. Let's set an intention to step into that life right now. Type in the chat. Give me a word. Type one word. How are you feeling now? There's Diane. She was avoiding my text yesterday. Pete, good to see you, Fazil. Ah, flying. Text me when you stop flying. All right, so let's lean in here. Who wants to learn more about frame shifting? Type me. And let's get people present here. If you're here, be here. If you're not here, leave. Okay? No multitasking. Like, give this call the next 30 minutes. There's a bazillion things to do. Let's focus, push all the distractions aside, and focus. All right, so let's talk about frame shifting here. So there is a new formula for success. The old formula for success that all of us were conditioned in is the old way. Pick a target, work hard, repeat. That was our success model. And it is conditioned, it is ingrained into us. And one of the biggest challenges we have right now is getting out of that pattern. Because life is different now. In the past 10 years, life shifted. We're operating at a higher frequency of reality. We can access the frame level of reality now, which we couldn't do before. So that old way we don't have to use. Because the problem with that old way, pick a target, work hard, repeat, is that it leads you to grinding. Would you agree? Tell me what you think. Type in the chat. That the old way leads you to grinding, right? It's the old way. So much grinding. Yes. You know, it's funny. We grinded so much that we hired professionals to help us grind more. You did? Yes. I was a professional grinder because I used to be a results-based coach. And a results-based coach is basically forced accountability. So all the Tony Robbins coaching I did was really a forced accountability coaching. So the new way, pick a target, align with the target, flow to the target. This frame shifting is the formula to flow. The biggest obstacle we have to frame shifting is getting out of reaction. Because most people, their frame is either their conditioned pattern of what they're doing at that moment, or it's a reaction to something. So you need to learn how to get out of your reactions, process those reactions, stop avoiding those reactions. And the thing you want to write down, I'd take a screenshot of this or write it on a separate note. Action doesn't create reality. Frequency creates reality. And I'm going to prove it to you. Okay? How's that? Want to know more? This is exciting stuff. Where's my chat? Light up the chat box, everybody. Come on. Be here. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So it looks like this. Frame is the frequency of you. Frame is like the frequency of the future you want. That frame creates your mindset. It generates thoughts, emotions, motivations, ideas. That mindset creates inspired action, flow, ease, alignment, unlocks your full potential. That's what that unlocks. And then it creates those amazing results, cash and prizes, time, freedom, all that stuff. That's where you get that. And the way we want to start, one way that's kind of makes it easier to think about this is to think about it in terms of like a multiverse. You know, like those multiverse movies, where's the different versions. Frame shifting is shifting to a different version of you. Okay? A version. So this new way will create new ideas, new connections, new opportunities. Okay. How I discovered frame shifting. Would you like to know the story of how I discovered frame shifting? Yes, I'm trying to make this interactive. Everybody who's typing in the chat right now, your wildest dreams will come true. Okay? So if you don't type in the chat, your wildest dreams are not going to come true. So, 2020, August 2020, Jason Drees Coaching was Jason Drees. Jason Drees Coaching had one employee. Oh, there we go. The dreams are coming true now. Hey, Matt. Michael Heine. Chris Hart. Good to see you. Chris Hart Nova. August 1st, 2020. Jason Drees Coaching was just Jason Drees. And I was doing it amazing. And I'll go back to the slide if you want to see that while I'm telling the story. So I was doing great. I had 65 clients in my coaching business, which was amazing because I've never knew any other coach who had 65 clients in their coaching business. I was working with Brandon Turner. Leads were coming in. And on August 1st, I had everything under control. August 1st, 2020. I get invited on the Bigger Pockets podcast. You guys remember that episode? The Bigger Pockets podcast in 2020? That I was on that podcast. And in the next 30 days, I had 192 people book in an introductory coaching session. 192 intro sessions booked in the next 30 days. So Jason Drees Coaching went from Jason Drees to Jason Drees, a salesperson, an ops person, and 3 coaches with a new payroll system, a new onboarding system, all that in like 4 weeks. And it was awesome. I was making more money than I ever had before. I was completely overwhelmed. It was like, oh my God, because coaching 65 clients is a full-time job. And then on top of that, now I'm trying to figure out how to run this business and create the system so it'll run. And then that was about October. And then all of a sudden November comes up and Brandon and I decide to launch the first Mindset Academy. Have any of you seen the first Mindset Academy? The first Mindset Academy was a 6-week course. You have access to it. It's in the MSA portal. You can watch the replay of it. It changed everything. So it basically was doing 6 weeks, 4 hours a week for 6 weeks. And 2 out of those hours was new content. So I was completely and totally overwhelmed. Like I was so overwhelmed. I was basically just every day thinking, don't screw it up, don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up. And the reason I kept thinking that is because the business 10x'd in that quarter. Jason Drees Coaching did about $100,000 in revenue in 2019, and 2020 we did $1 million. 700,000 of that was in Q4. So it was amazing. I'm just like, this is amazing, but I'm completely and totally overwhelmed. I can get maybe 10% of the things done that I want to. And then I had a moment. And these moments are how content comes for me. I had this moment. This moment says, August 1st, I had everything under control. But if I took Jason, the version of me from 10 years ago, and brought that version of me from 10 years ago to August 1st, he would have been completely overwhelmed. So that told me that the November 1st version, who is completely and totally overwhelmed, that tells me there's a future version of me that if I brought that version to this moment, it would look at the situation and know exactly what to do. And when I thought about that future version, I felt lighter, my confidence increased, my doubt went away, and I wondered what just happened. I'm like, what just happened? And I didn't know what happened. I just knew that it got me out of overwhelm. So 2 hours later, I'm in overwhelm again. I did it again. So I literally did that exercise probably 5 to 10 times a day for the next 5 weeks. And I didn't realize at the time that it was, that was when I started first doing the first frame shifting. The funny thing is I was so exhausted and overworked from that period that I had people messaging me on Instagram saying, Jason, are you okay? You have bags, your bags under your eyes don't look so healthy. So it was an amazing time. The business blew up at that time. And so over the past few years, so then I started coaching clients that way. And the more I started to coach clients about frame shifting, the more their results started to explode, had to radically explode, okay? So let's talk a little bit more. So I'm repeating this lots of different ways because I'm trying to program it into your head, okay? So this is how life works. We're after those results, right? We're after the results. We want the cash and prizes. We're thinking about it all the time. It's consuming us. It's what we do over and over again. Where do the results come from? Whoops. Results come from the actions that you take. Action creates your results. Now, we know this, and we know this as human beings. And the problem with knowing this is that we end up chasing strategy. Like, for those of you right now who are working on a big goal that you haven't hit right yet, is your brain telling you the reason you haven't hit it yet is because you don't know what to do? Yes or no? Type in the chat. Because your brain is going to notice that step until you break that conditioning. But it's actually not a strategy problem, because I've seen so many clients, they'll read books, they'll podcast, do those things. The more you get it through coaching, the more we'll get you aligned with this next level. But we have to understand that that's the default. Action creates results. What creates action? Your mindset creates your action. What creates your mindset? It's a frame. That's right, Erwin. It's a frame problem. Frame creates mindset, creates action, creates results. For those of you that, when I was a Tony Robbins coach and I did results-based coaching, we were coaching at the mindset level and the action level. That type of coaching is incredibly masculine and doesn't work for a lot of women because it's basically forced accountability coaching. As far as I can tell, there's no one else on the planet besides Jason Drees coaching that's coaching at the frame level. We're the only ones doing it. And that's where our clients get such amazing results. Whether you're in Mindset Academy or one-on-one, yeah. So if you're not getting the results you want, you're in a misaligned frame. A misaligned frame creates a misaligned mindset. A misaligned mindset takes misaligned action. Misaligned action does not get the results that you want. Get the amazing results you want is an aligned frame creates an aligned mindset. An aligned mindset creates aligned action. And we're talking like naturally inspired action, like natural motivation showing up. Aligned action creates the amazing results. Okay, now say out loud, I got this. And type it into the chat. I got this. Awesome. We'll talk about misaligned action. Hold that question, Fazil, for a little bit later. Okay. Got this. All right. Now, where did my cursor go? So what is a frame? I get that question all the time. What is a frame? Mindset is your brain. This is a part of you. Frame is all of you. It's all of you. The way I describe it is the frequency of you. Our body is made of atoms, which is pure energy, which is very hard to comprehend, but we know it is. And that energy can vibrate at different frequencies. It could operate at a high frequency. It could operate at a low frequency. You could be in a frame that's a frequency of sadness. And that sad frame will create a sad mindset and sad action. You could also be in a frequency of happiness. And that happy frame will create happy mindset, happy actions. You could be in a frame that's 50% certain that you can hit your target and make that money that you're after and close that deal. And that 50% certain frame will create a 50% aligned mindset that'll give you action that's 50% aligned, basically 50% off. Or you could be in a frame that is 100% certain you can hit the target, possibly even if you don't know how. And then it will generate the subsequent mindset and action. Okay? Make sense? Frame is all of you. Okay. How do you know if you're in the right frame? Or how do you know if your action is aligned? And this will answer your question, Fazal, as well. How do you know if you're in the right frame? You are in the right frame when you are 100% certain you can hit the target. You're in the right frame when you are 100% certain you can hit the target. 100% certain is an aligned frame. 99% certain is not an aligned frame. 99% certain is 1% off. That means your aim at the target is 1% off. And if you put an address in your car's GPS and it's 99% right, will you ever hit the target? And unfortunately, just notice, like, as an entrepreneur, I know most of you are entrepreneurs, how much of your time have you spent in the past feeling like the work you're doing isn't getting the results you want? You're willing to do more work, but it's just not happening. How many of you have had that experience? We've all had that. Now, who has basically spent years in that space? I have. I spent years there. Because we didn't know any better. The only formula we had was working hard. Working hard doesn't take into account alignment. So now what I'm sharing with you is the formula for alignment. And one of the big questions I certainly get, that's a good point, Andrew. One of the questions I get is, how do you create certainty when you don't know what to do? That's the challenge, right? How do you create certainty when you don't know what to do? Because the thing is, what to do will come from the new elevated mindset. Strategy is a byproduct of alignment. So you almost want to let go of strategy and you want to focus on holding yourself in alignment with that version that knows what to do. And that version will eventually create the aligned mindset, which creates the inspired action. Who here has had this happen to them before? Who's been in coaching? Who's had this experience? Type me in the chat. So, and we have to really put attention on it, because that old conditioning, we spent the majority of our life this way. So you're in the right frame if you're 100% certain. So here I'm going to give you right now the repeat after me on how to create certainty in the unknown. Pam, if you could type this would be awesome. The first line is, I take full ownership of my life and everything in it. The second line, think of a target that you want to hit, really want to hit, that you don't know how to hit. And the second line of the repeat after me is, I am going to hit this target, and then because I'm not going to stop until I do. So try that out loud. I take full ownership of my life and everything in it. I am going to hit this target because I'm not going to stop until I do. Awesome, Phil. Thank you. Can you feel a shift in your certainty? Because this goes along with decide, commit, figure out how. And it doesn't matter. Now, if your goal is to like 10x your income, that mindset may not show up this week. It may show up in a couple of years. So depending how far the frame is determines how fast the new mindset will show up. But the key is holding yourself into alignment with it. The thing that kicks us out of alignment, so let's say you're 80% certain you can hit the target. 80% certain you can hit the target. is basically saying, I've got one belief that's 100% that I can hit the target, and I've got a secondary belief that's contradicting it with a negative 20%, giving me a net 80% belief. So how do you go from 80% to 100% alignment? What do you think? Type in the chat. How do you go from 80% alignment to 100% alignment? Commitment, part of it, yes. Frame shift, yes. Sometimes frame shift works and sometimes frame shift doesn't work. But what I want to share with you right now is what is causing the misalignment. Like, what is the source of that 20% doubt? The source of that 20% doubt is, there you go, Cassie. The doubt is the past reference in your mindset to what you're doing right now that's relative to what you're doing right now. So it could be a belief from the past, it could be a pattern of behavior of the past, or something that's contradicting. So if you're shutting down when you're going beyond your comfort zone, it means you're currently wired, your nervous system is wired to shut down and play safe when you go outside your comfort zone. And we all have this in some way because the mind is wired for survival, not success. So that's why the way we create alignment, because it often seems difficult to create alignment, as in like you got to go construct it. But that's actually not the case. The way to get to 100% alignment is to go from 80 to 100 is simply take that 20% and remove it. You remove that. So what we're doing is not an addition game, it's a subtraction game. And that's why one-on-one coaching is so powerful. So powerful. Because each call that you're on, you're removing one piece of resistance, a next piece of resistance, the next one, the next one, the next one. And it compounds over time. And you get clearer and focused, more focused and smarter and stronger and more aligned. The longer you stay in this program, the more fucking amazing you'll become. It's not impossible to remove that 20% by yourself. But you're never going to be able to remove that 20% until you learn how to do it. The ways we do it, frame shifting is one way, and we also do the belief change process. And depending on the beliefs and the reference, sometimes you have to do both. So that's how we tell if we're in the right frame. Three indications of a frame shift. So we've got on the left, we've got a frame shift, and on the right, we got a reverse frame shift. Frame shift is connecting to a future version of yourself. It's literally how you make decisions from your future self. Because everyone else makes decisions for their mindset, which is their past self. So when you shift to a higher frame, you will feel an increase in confidence and certainty, and a decrease in doubt. You'll feel more positive emotions, and most people feel lighter in their body. A reverse frame shift is going to a lower frame than you are currently in. Sometimes we get triggered with memories from our past, from old experiences that are painful, and that puts us in a disempowered state. So when you do a reverse frame shift, you'll have an increase in doubt, decrease in confidence, decrease in certainty. You'll feel more negative emotions, and you'll feel heavy in your body. Awesome. Questions? Are we still with me? Would I owe most of my success to a mindset to coaching? 100%. Yeah. I've been in a good question, Doug. I've been in the personal group. I started coaching in 2010. And I am in a radically different place. All right. So let's try it right now. Can you get a sense of a future version of you? Love that, hear that, Connor. Can you get a sense of a future version of you sometime in the future? Can you get a sense of a future version of you that understands frame shifting more than you do now? Type yes in the chat, if you can. And put your attention on that version. And can you get a sense of a future version of you that understands frame shifting more than you do now and understands frame shifting so well that you could give a lecture on it if you wanted to? Type yes if you can sense that frame. Now just keep your awareness open. Now here's the thing. Can you sense the presence of that frame in the room with you? Type yes if you can. For anybody that's new, the frame usually shows up. It almost feels like there's an invisible version of you standing there. And what's really interesting about the client is everybody that I do this with, they're in different places. If you remember my old videos where I'm talking frame shifting and I always put my left hand up like this, that's because my frame is to the front left. Some people's to the left, some people to the right, some people it's inside of them, some people it's above their head. I kind of think it's how our mind helps us operate in this multiverse of reality that we're operating in. So keep your attention on that. Keep 50% of your attention on that frame still. Okay. Now get a sense, now we're going to stack that frame. Can you get a sense of a future version of you that understands frame shifting more than you do now? Could give a lecture on it if you wanted to, and knows how to frame shift to make 7 figures in 1 year. Can you sense that frame, yes or no? If it's no, type no. Okay. If it's a no, it's because that frame is too far of a jump for you, where you're presently at. Here's how you close the gap. So for those of you that got a no, can you get a sense of a future version of you that knows it's possible for other people to sense a future version of them that understands frame shifting, could give a lecture on it, and knows how to use frame shifting to make 7 figures in a year? Can you get a sense of a future version of you that knows it's possible for other people to do that? Type yes in the chat if you can. Okay. Now I'm going to repeat it. Can you get a sense of a future version of you who understands frame shifting more than you do now, can give a lecture on it if you wanted to, and knows how to frame shift to make 7 figures in 1 year? Can you sense that frame now? Type yes in the chat if you got it. That's how you close the gap, frame shifting. Let's just keep like 20% of your attention on that frame. And I have no idea how I figured this stuff out, like literally. It's literally these moments. It's like, in case you haven't noticed, I am like a conduit for this information. It's like literally a channel this stuff. I don't even know where it comes from. That's why people ask me, could you repeat what you just said? I'm like, no, I was in flow. I don't understand. So keep a little bit more attention on that version. And let's maybe add into that the version of you, future version of you, that doesn't have any bad feelings or negative emotions about the politics, state of the country, and all this bullshit election going on. In fact, you're amused by it. Can you also see the frame of you that's amused by what's going on, right? Amused and entertained. Type yes if you can see that one. Awesome. Keep your attention on it. Type in the chat a couple words to describe how you're feeling right now. Are any of you feeling lighter? Did you feel a change in positive emotions? Good. Fantastic. Yes, lighter. Okay, awesome. Now, let's add into that same frame. We're going to stack on top of it. Can you also get a sense of future version of you that's all of that and is not in a rush to hit your goals, because you enjoy watching the process of life unfold. Can you sense that version too? Give me a yes in the chat if you can. And then type in the chat, oh, I'm sorry, let's add to that. And can you sense the future version of you that is no longer stuck in reaction to any fears? Get a sense of the version of you that when a fear comes up, you see it as like, oh, yeah, that's not true anymore. And get a sense of a version of you that when life gives you a dumpster fire, shit sandwich, whatever it is, get a sense of the future version of you that knows when life is giving you that, it's because it's prepping you for something more amazing after that. You've got to go through the trials and the challenges to get the result. Awesome. I like to hold these frames for 68 seconds. I copied 68 seconds from Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks says if you can hold an active thought for 68 seconds, you're activating that frequency in your reality. Because the thing is, now keep a percentage of your attention on that frame, like maybe 10%. Well, so just like you still sense it's in the room. Because we are all multidimensional. What we don't realize, this is one dimension. This is another dimension. This is another dimension. They're all different dimensions. We frame, and physical reality is responding to the frequency of you. But here's what most people do. This is what almost everybody does. What you used to do, you may still do, but you probably do a lot less now that you're working with me, is you wake up, you look at your life, look at my wife, look at my wife, my partner, my husband, my bank account, my job, and based on that, I have an emotional reaction. And from that emotional reaction, we take action. Starting in an emotional reaction as a place of action is like starting in a hole. You've got to get out of reaction. Most people's frames are a reaction to their reality. So the thing is, you cannot frame shift when you're in reaction. You cannot frame shift, you're in reaction. You have to process the reaction. So if you ever tried to frame shift and it's not working, that's why. Awesome. Type in the chat, I got this. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to talk about what's next week, homework next week, and then I'm going to open it up if anybody wants some coaching right now. So I also want to extend an additional invitation to my Mindset Academy Elite Mastermind. We had our first call yesterday, and I tell you, I am raising the fucking standard in this group. I'm going old school Tony Robbins coach. Like we are literally, boom, pounding. Like if you sound intimidated, don't join. It's not for you.